This is WCBG, broadcasting from Wagner College in Staten Island, New York. WCBG, small college, big voice. Renata and Jeanine went to City Vineyards in New York City at Pier 26 to interview with two amazing independent artists. Stay tuned to hear what their take is on world issues and how their music is affecting the people around them. Do you guys mind introducing yourselves for our listeners?
Sure. Hi, I'm Raye Zaragoza.
I'm Caitlin Mahoney.
Yeah.
Where are you guys from?
So I'm from New York City, born and raised, not too far from here, and but I currently live in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow, nice.
Yeah. I'm moving to Long Beach, but I currently live in Sherman Oaks. But yeah, I'm actually from the West Village in New York, so not too far at all. Yeah.
That's crazy. How is the environment different from New York and LA?
New York and LA, it's like, I guess it couldn't be more different, but also the same. That sounds so poetically, like, depressing. But, no, it's like, New York and LA are so polar opposites in terms of, like, terrain, and, like, it's so hot there, and here has 4 seasons, but, like, the people are very similar. There's just like, 2 big cities, you know? Everyone in both cities, like, you know, they're always go, 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 like, never stopping.
I was just talking to Jeanine about that, about my plight with New York City,
Yeah.
is that everyone is like so obsessed with like going where they need to go.
Yeah.
Which is, it's not, definitely not like 100% true, because, you know, I understand that people care and love people, and, you know, what it is, it feels like I'm very nervous in this city. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, when I was growing up here, it was just normal, you know? I was just like, oh, it's fine, like, everything is nonstop, and that's just like what I'm used to. But then once I like got a taste of what it's like to like have a balanced life, I was like, oh, this is actually maybe a little bit intense, and I need some rest time. I need some time to like decompress.
Yeah,
but
that's exactly what Renata and I were talking about, because I'm from Staten Island.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm kind of used to that hustle and bustle, and then it's hard to forget. Well, it's easy to forget that you need to take time to just take a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Caitlin's been here for a while, but you're from originally Florida, right?
Yeah, it's like in my mind, you're still a New Yorker.
Yeah.
You're like, you live, like, I'm
always.
like, oh, raised back. I can resume life, you know, like.
I love that.
Truly, I'm like, oh, raised back in the city that is her city.
I love it.
Yeah, I've been here for almost 9 years, which is crazy. So I grew up in Orlando, Florida, originally. So I do well in like 2 or 3 of the 4 seasons that New York has.
Yeah,
and
right?
This one that we're currently in, I'm like, oh, when's it over?
I know. LA has like 2 seasons. It's like, I call it summer and super summer.
Yeah.
That's it. It's kind of weird though, because then like 2 years will go by and you'll be like, huh, I didn't even feel a season change, you know, and it's like, that can be kind of weird. Like, I like the 4 seasons because you can feel the progression of time, so it kind of gives you a little bit more perspective on time.
Can I ask you a question about time?
Yeah.
What do you think about, like I know that your music is very, your lyrics anyway, are like, thoughtful, you know, you think about what you're writing about, which is great, thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to know your opinion on, I guess, like, human relationship with time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a great question, because I've been thinking a lot about this. You know, time is a like manufactured concept. You know, time is not really real. We're just moving through space. We're not moving through time. And you know, I've been thinking about that a lot, because I think a lot of times people, like, we're constantly living in the past. We're constantly like holding up everyone's pasts against them, you know, constantly, and when really we should be thinking about our present moment and, you know, the present moments that are soon to come, you know. And I've been thinking a lot about that, because I'm definitely someone who's constantly like living in the future. You know, I'm constantly like, where am I going? What am I accomplishing? Blah, 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 blah. When like you're not doing the present moment any service when you live in the past or the future. So, but I think one of the big issues that we have just as like a people is constantly living in the past and constantly holding each other's pasts like against each other. You know.
Yeah, it's really hard to do that in music, to like be in the present moment, because you're kind of constantly being asked about what has happened in the past, and then you are always having to be like very ahead of where things are going, especially when you write your songs, because you're like singing songs that you wrote a long time ago, you know. So like I feel like the show part is such a good way of becoming present and like reminding yourself of the present moment, because like a song that you wrote many years ago is meaning something to someone in the moment as you're singing it to them, and that's like a pretty cool, and that connection is like the ultimate being present.
Totally.
That's a great way to think about it. I feel like it also attributes to this like relatability factor.
Yeah.
Even like listening to your music and hearing your songs, Renata and I were talking about it in the shuttle ride over, how it's very like relevant.
Yeah, thank you.
And I feel like the topics are always going to be something that's like it's on somebody's mind of what's to come next, and I think that's a great way to put yourself out there and like have your image be you.
Yeah, and like things are timeless. Like I like even the songs that I've written about specific events, people bring them up to me later and are like, that song applies to something that's happening to me now, because at the essence of everything that happens in our lives, like it's not like events are events, but it's all rooted in like these universal issues that we have as the human condition, you know. And so if you can, as a songwriter, if you can write something that taps into the human condition rather than something that sounds like a commentary, you know, because I like when it comes to social justice music and protest songs, I get uncomfortable when I feel like a song is like talking down to me or like trying to teach me something or trying to educate me, because I'm like, yo, like we all come from different places of our education, and when it comes to politics and any social issues, and when a song is supposed to be there to like ignite the inspiration and to paint a picture and to have something that's universal, not something that's gonna isolate people. So I never like to, you know, I always think that if you get to that essence that's timeless, that's when you really write a song that's really relatable and that's connecting to people, and not something that's going to be talking down to people or isolate people or make people feel like that, like, you know, that you're turning on them. You know.
What type of message do you hope will come across in your music?
Whatever the message is, like between every song, I want it to be something that people can relate to across all kinds of people and all kinds of places you're from. And you know, I travel all over the world. I've been in Europe, and I've been to so many places where you know, life is not that different, but it's still a little bit different, and the languages are different. And I really am touched when I can connect to people, you know, who may not have even known about what the song was about, or even spoke the language and could really understand. You know, and I grew up super, you know, mixed race. I grew up in New York City, but like I'm Mexican and Native American and Asian American, and I've always felt that my identity was cut into like all these pieces, and that everything I did was like one part of me, you know, like, you know, this food was from this part of me, and then this tradition was from this, and I just always felt like this identity crisis. And so with my music, I really want to build bridges between all parts of me, and then maybe that will build bridges between other people. And I always like pride myself on really having a diverse fan base, whether that's, you know, age, gender, anything, because I want my music to be something that's universal to all people and not something that's just made for one kind of person. I don't want to be the voice of a specific people. I want to be a voice of like the people, you know. And like my friend Lila June, she's like this amazing quote, and she's like, I stand up for the people. No, she said, I stand up for my people, and by my people I mean anyone who considers themselves the people, you know. And I'm like, I love that. Like, my people are the people, you know. My people are not the people who consider themselves better than others, or that, you know, they are isolating other people because of who they are. Like, if we are a part of this mass, if we are part of like the people, then you are my people. And I love that. So I'm making music for my people, for the people. People.
Have you heard of the song? I think it's called this "We Are the Earth."
Mhm.
Yeah, right. This
Yeah.
one, right? It took me a minute. I was like, is that what it's really called? And it's like this like pop song.
Yeah.
Okay, with starring many different celebrity figures
Yeah.
and songwriters and singers. I'm curious to know what you and so I think that song it played with a very like upbeat tone the entire time. And yeah, it did like give you a little bit. It didn't give us enough.
Yeah.
I felt as though that song didn't give me enough. It wasn't as powerful as it could have been.
Mhm.
You know, you do need to be a little sad in order to be a little powerful. But so I'd like to know what you can, if you can compare that to how you sort of form your own tone with the like what you want with your message, right? How do you put your message into music and make it something serious, but something that people can also enjoy?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think one time I got someone had a comment on or I had a review of one of my songs and they called it naive, and I didn't really take offense to it, but I see what they're saying. It's when you put out a message that's so hopeful, sometimes people will be like, that's really naive. You obviously don't know anything about the world if you're going to be that hopeful, and so it was food for thought, And I think that as I get older and I learn more about the world, I'm able to create songs that are more well-rounded. And, I think that, the deeper you go, the more hopeful you go. You kind of grow in both directions. And there can be, deep despair and, deep hope in one song. And I think that's kind of, the trick. Because if you're shallow on this, we're, on a, I can't do my hand motions, but if you're shallow in terms of the sorrow, you can only go as, you can't just have all hope. It's there's always going to be oh my God, I'm gonna quote frickin' Batman right now. It's what is it? The night is as dark as just before the dawn. Oh my gosh. But basically what I'm saying is you have to, sometimes through the greatest struggles, you find the greatest hope, And I think with a song is the same. And sometimes, sometimes the happiest, it's funny, is sometimes the love songs that we all love so much, we read the lyrics and we realize they're breakup songs. It's because when you tap into something that's so deep, it's deep in both ways, And I think those are the best kinds of songs. And so I think it is definitely this line you have to walk, and sometimes you'll listen to a song and it feels so cheesy. You listen to a song and you're oh, this is so cheesy because it's too happy. I think the best kinds of songs are both. It's not really a happy or a sad song. It's just a song, and it takes you on a sad and happy journey at one time. Do you have that same feeling?
Yeah.
Do you ever get feedback that you're too hopeful like I do?
Well, one of my bigger songs was this song called Kept Woman, and it was something that people really resonated with, and it was I almost threw it away because it didn't have hope, and I had I think songwriting for me was a little pep talk to myself of a hopeful this kind of hurts and I feel badly, but it's gonna be okay, and that was what it was. So then this song was it was written for a play, and it had more to it than just but I almost threw it away because it was in a really hopeless moment, and I think it's resonated with people because of the depth of the hopelessness in it. And I feel what you're saying, and I feel what we strive for as songwriters is finding the truth in any moment, and that's what connects. And I'm looking at your set list, and is it ruining it if I say the cover that's on there?
Yeah.
Big Yellow Taxi is so specific to a Joni Mitchell moment of truth. But you find the happy and the sad and the high and the low.
It's an uplifting song in the weirdest way.
And then you read the lyrics, and what's happening in that song? A big yellow taxi is taking away her old man, which is one of the. But she's finding the joy and sometimes,
It's so funny. Yeah.
You don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah. Totally. It's it's talking about gentrification and all of the best parts of Los Angeles and of Hawaii being taken away, and yet it's this upbeat song,
Yeah, there's room for both. Yeah. And the room is in the truth, and I feel that's what you get going in all of your
and that's
songs.
where the art is,
For sure.
When something's just, if it's just, if something is just it's a menu, this is exactly what you're getting. If you listen to a song and you understand everything on a very cerebral level, then so what? What's the point? You want to feel something.
I was going to say, kind of this emotional roller coaster that you hope to go through. When an artist releases a single or an album, or especially in relation to albums in general, you get to see all the different sides of an artist and the emotional highs and lows of the journey, and it comes across in music, especially from independent artists, and just hearing that type of stuff. So I just want to know how you guys got interested in making music about the things you care about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll give you the super honest answer. I I don't know, like, I wrote songs for a long time before I really found writing social justice songs, because, like, you know, I think I started writing songs when I was 19, and from then until, like, for, like, the first, like, 4 years of songwriting, I kind of just, like, wanted to, I was like, okay, well, what do people write songs about? Like, they write songs about love. So I feel like I wrote, like, exclusively songs about, like, this boy broke my heart, and I'm so sad. There's nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of those songs, and I love them. But it started to, like, not be enough for me, and I wanted to quit, and I just was like, my boy problems don't inspire me anymore, so why should they inspire anyone else? I'm not inspired, so why should anyone listen to my music? And I really wanted to quit, and then Standing Rock happened, and I think just, like, my whole world kind of shifted, and I realized a lot of stuff. I realized that for a lot of my life, I've been super in denial about my identity and really trying to repress the parts of me that I'm most proud of now, like being an Indigenous woman, being a Mexican woman, being an Asian woman. I really wanted to hide, you know, being the daughter of an immigrant. I really wanted to hide all of that and just, like, be a part of whatever it meant to be in the mainstream, which is just, like, an artificial thing anyway. But I went through this whole kind of, like, reawakening of myself, and I went to Standing Rock, and I really found my voice as an activist, and, you know, that's why I wrote the album. It's called Fight For You, because I was learning how to fight for things outside of me, but at the same time I was learning how to fight for myself. Like, I was learning how to fight for my own voice, and realized that, you know, there's so much out there that I've been suppressing, you know, within me that's kind of, like, being projected through what's happening around me. So that's when it all started, and I think that when I started writing social justice music and songs that have a deeper message, it was all a part of, like, saving myself, you know, and I think I continue to write music as a way to save myself and a way to connect with who I really am, because, you know, I'm young still, and I'm still trying to figure all that out. So, yeah, music is kind of just like this melody of my own inner troubles, and somehow that's being reflected onto the troubles that happen around us in this, like, totally messed up world. So, that's my my little story.
Thank you for opening up to us.
Yeah, of course.
I can open up too if you'd like. I am also an artist.
Yes,
I
open up.
create movies, videos, I'm a filmmaker.
Awesome.
If you're ever looking for help on one of your music
Always.
videos,
Absolutely. Send me your stuff.
Yeah, we can connect.
I love it.
But I really feel the same way when you said that you use your art to save you.
Yeah.
In a way, I completely understand, because life is crazy, and the only way you can really, like, get through it without going crazy is, like, you know, having this goal with your with what you can do with your voice, with your lyric writing, and you know, and for me it's, you know, making pictures and, like, you know, getting people to talk on a screen. It's like, it's you know, you're doing something there to share with people, to, like, you know, put something out there in the world that, like, means something. And I get that. I'm happy that you are like this.
Yeah. Oh. I feel you so hardcore. You need to read the book The Origin of Inspiration. Have you read it?
No, that sounds
It's so good. Anyway, The Origin of Inspiration, it's this really amazing book, and kind of talks about how, like, everyone has their medium. Like, everyone was kind of given, that's kind of, like, why that you know, there is someone for every kind of art, because everyone has kind of been given their mode of, their way of saving themselves, you know. So what you feel?
Yeah, I feel like I'm with you guys. It's it's a way to process, you know, and, like, the beauty of art is that you can connect with others through it, by expressing and processing. And so, like, you talking about, you know, how it starts with boys, it's like, if you look through any songwriter's journey over the course of their life, if they continue to do it from start to finish, you watch them process their growth in their life. And you know, I think we are all in a time where we're witnessing really big changes in our society, and it's a lot to process, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I think some of the social justice comes through, is being honest with, you know, like, in my last album, it was realizing that not everyone thought women were badasses who could do whatever they wanted. I was like, that blew my mind, because that's what I've always been lucky to grow up thinking. and also having to fight through some of that on my own. But even just like with film, I was thinking about our like New York to LA talk. I just watched Marriage Story on Netflix, which if you guys haven't, you must watch. It's a Noah Baumbach film, I think is how you say his name, and it's incredible, and it's about this like marriage and the kind of how it falls apart, and it's a really honest depiction of what it is to endure a divorce and watch this thing that was so wonderful for so long and that is like him processing that, and those actors all have that story, and it's really
processing
compelling.
is not as easy as it sounds. Like, to be able to like swallow your emotions whole and to be able to turn them into something that can leave your body is really difficult. I've been reading this book about like processing, and it talks a lot about how sometimes instead of processing we react, and being reactive is really toxic. So it's like sometimes I think when we go through something, the first thing we want to do is talk about it, when really, if you're feeling something, like just like feel it, like swallow it whole. Sit with it, like swallow it whole before you start just like spewing like let's say like someone upset you, and like if you go, the first thing you do is go gossip about that person and go chat about why you hate that person. Like, that's not actually you processing anything. That's not actually helping you at all. That's just creating toxic energy. It's pretty crazy. I like totally didn't realize the difference between like reactivity and processing until like this book.
That's so
really
interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like as a listener, it kind of applies to that too. Because sometimes when you listen to an album or a song, like the first thing you want to do is be like, I want to talk about that song.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like to take a step back and listen to the lyrics, listen to the music. Because even sometimes like the production of a song will tell you what's happening.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you take a second to digest all of that, it's a different experience than just.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
No, I totally.
Type thing.
You gotta experience your music. I really feel that way. Like I hate like listening to like an album for the first time like in a car, like I mean sometimes it depends on the music, but some music I just want to be like alone in my house like with like a candle lit and like it on vinyl. Like this is how you listen to this kind of music, Yeah.
It's that mood music.
Yeah, mood music.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
So what is your favorite lyric for both of you that you have ever written?
Oh, that's a good question. Oh my god, all these lyrics of other artists came in my head. I was like, my lyrics? Favorite lyric?
There's just so many good ones to choose from. Right?
I guess of my songs I guess American Dream. It's like, I know that we've got a long way to go, but I've got to believe that change is a choice and it can start with me. I think is my favorite, just because when I wrote that song, I wasn't even like consciously like trying to write a good song, or like I wasn't like consciously trying to write a song. I was just like trying to get something out of me that felt like it needed to get out. And I think that was kind of like around the time, during the election, when I was like, I heard about like so many of my people. I heard about a lot of college students who like weren't voting, and that really upset me. And I just felt like we were going through this like kind of phase of like how like apathy was kind of cool, and it was like, well, the whole system sucks, so like let's not participate. And I just feel like that's not really, you live you benefit from the systems that are in place every day, whether or not you realize it. The roads are paved because of someone put the money down, so you need to participate, and notice that you're not just like skating by. It's just a very privileged outlook on it, and I just realized like, change is a choice, and it can start with me. So if no one's gonna start, I'll start by myself.
I love that lyric.
Thanks.
It's always it's such a reminder to take ownership for yourself, which I think we all have to do. I mean, that's growing up, and it's kind of there's a level of maturity in that, and saying like, this is my responsibility. And I was thinking about time. Yeah. And I have a song called Try from my last record, and it's one of the lyrics is, time is a healer and time is the revealer. And I feel like You know, whenever somebody's having a rough time, like I feel like I heard it somewhere in astrology that it's breakup season and everyone's breaking up right now. And so
Why? Everyone needs someone to
cuddle
with.
It's like the opposite. The opposite of like cupping season. It's like, which one is it? Magazine that I've been reading? But like that's all I have to say to them is like, time is gonna heal this. Like nothing else really is. Like things are gonna feel healing in the moment. Like listen to your favorite music. Feel what you have to feel. Yeah. But ultimately, the only thing that is going to make this feel any better is time removed from it. And time is also the revealer. When something happens and you're disappointed and you're like, why is this happening? Yeah. And you don't know at the time. Like, you know, whatever your dream is that didn't happen in that moment, or the dude that you liked who didn't like you back, or whatever it is. Like, there's...
Awful dude.
Yeah, that awful dude. We don't like the dude. But anyway, it always reveals itself, you know, but only with time.
Yeah, I love that. Beautiful lyric.
I have one more. Do you have it?
You can go first.
No,
mine has to go first. Okay. So, what artists have you guys been listening to lately?
I try to keep with the kids. I love Billie Eilish. Okay. I love Billie Eilish way before she was playing stadiums. Remember?
South by Southwest.
Yeah, South by. We saw her. She was like she was playing for 100 people.
Everyone
you
was
were
like
at South by Southwest, were you not?
Yeah, like 2 years ago. Yeah. Anyway, Billie Eilish is amazing. I love her. I believe in her. And I think she's authentic as hell. And I think that's hard to come by with artists. Sometimes when they're really young, because they don't know who they are yet, and they're exploited at such a young age, and it's really sad, but I don't know, I believe in Billie. And who else? I mean, I keep it old school. I love Joni Mitchell and the Beatles and Led Zeppelin and Elliott Smith and one of my favorite, we just got like our Spotify top songs of 2019. So 4 out of the 5 top songs of mine were Gang of Youth's songs. If you don't know that band, they're incredible. They're an Australian rock band that I'm obsessed with, and their music is very spiritual in a way, but it's hardcore rock and roll.
I love that.
You know, and a lot of it is just very contemplative about
Gang of Youth. So I don't listen to them.
They're so their music is amazing, and that's one of my top bands of the year. So they're definitely
For me, it's Sarah Bareilles. I just love her new record.
Good.
I love all of her other records, and she's all over my the Spotify decade one. I was
my gosh.
Well, there we go. Not arguable. I just love her.
I love it.
Okay. One question we've been asking everyone we've interviewed actually came from our PR director, Grace. What is your opinion on releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
That's such a good question, because I was literally listening to Chris Bell's album, who, he passed away at 27, and then they released a bunch of his, they went into his demos and then released it. And I mean, I guess I'm biased because you know what? If I died and people went into my archives of music, I would be release it. I'd be shouting from the heavens, release it.
Yeah.
And give all the money to my family. You know what I mean? I don't know. I would be okay with it, but I could see why someone wouldn't be.
That's interesting. I think I might just go ahead and sign it into will now that Raye Zaragoza is in charge of that. For me.
Yeah. You gotta have someone in charge.
Yeah.
I don't want someone to go into my voice memos and
she'll know what's good.
Embarrassing things and then turn it into a freaking electronic dance song. And,
right.
Maybe not. I mean, unless it was really good, then yeah.
Do you mind if I just put you in charge of that?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
I'll totally take your archives. That's a great question.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, I have one last question.
Yeah.
I'm an advocate. I advocate being the person who carries around their cutlery so that they don't have to use plastic cutlery.
Yeah.
I advocate
You're awesome.
Not using a paper towel when you wash your hands. You just shake them off and
go.
These are things that I do every day, and you struggle. I struggle. Sometimes I'll grab that paper towel and be but I would like to know if you do anything besides promote music that maybe can be seen as something that is like politically activist or for the climate change, or something that like is for awareness.
Something that's
I'm
like
curious
tangible.
to know, exactly how.
Yeah, that's a great question, because like it's one thing to project something, it's another thing to put it into practice. And I will not lie, touring is one of the most environmentally unfriendly practices there is, because you have to fly, you have to drive. I have a hybrid, but like, whoop-de-doo, you know? I do bring my own cutlery everywhere I go, my bamboo cutlery, and like, it's like the little things I try, I like do that, and like I always bring my own water bottle, and like, don't use straws, and like, I try to, I wanted to make this video for touring bands, like the little things you can do. Like my friend, I was on tour, I've toured with a lot of incredibly environmentally conscious bands just by design. Like when you're creating conscious music, like it's a great place to meet other conscious artists. But I've seen bands where it's on their rider, like no plastic bottles ever. So if you have access, we need access to like a water refill station. And then the crews of those bands have told me horror stories of touring with other bands when they're like, yeah, I got like yelled at for buying a giant thing of water with like a spigot when they just wanted cases of water bottles. Like they yelled at them, and I was like, what? Like it's so easy to just get your own freaking water bottle. So yeah, I do my best on tour to like minimize my own carbon footprint as much as I can, with those little things, and I'm always trying to get more creative with it. Especially with clothing, I realize like, clothing is one of those things that people don't really realize. Like, if you just go through and through and through clothes, it's like it's all going into, it's all just waste and waste and waste. So I try to live really minimally and simply as much as I can to like, reduce my own waste. But I'm always looking for new creative ways for touring artists to be more environmentally friendly, because we have to fly so much, and I hate that, Yeah. How about you?
I'm working on that. I'm really inspired by it, that it's a mission of yours, and it's a question that you're asking. I think that's really cool, and I think that's going to get people thinking about it, which is really
exactly
awesome.
Like going on tour and saying like, no, we can't get plastic bottles.
Yeah, I mean, now that you have like your own rider, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I can ask for what I want, so I like
awesome.
exclusively drink hot water, so I just like have a hot water kettle and just put it in my own bottle and call it a day. But like, some people ask for like 2 cases of water, and then they like have like half of each bottle and throw it away, and I'm just like,
yeah,
it's really frustrating. But a lot of venues are starting to participate. There are some venues that give out their own reusable water bottles, and they refuse any plastic bottles backstage, and so it's all it's catching on, and everyone has to be their own business.
I believe that if anyone can change the music business in a positive way that's more eco-friendly, it's going to be you. Keep it up.
Heck
Thank
yeah.
you.
Our last question would be, what can we expect from you guys in the new decade of 2020?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for 2020. Get me out of 2019. I'm releasing a new record, so that'll be out in like at some point in 2020. And just continuing. I'm not only continuing this journey of trying to deepen my music and my career, but I'm also just trying to become like a deeper human being and a more functional human being, and create more of a balance in my own life, because I feel like I am only as good as the instrument that I play, and that instrument is my own body, and so if I can't take care of it, then I'm useless as an artist. So I'm also learning to take care of myself, which is like a great, journey of 2020 for sure.
It's gonna be a great 2020.
It's gonna be great.
I'm just trying to play music. This is a great way to kick off 2020.
Yes.
Playing with Raye Zaragoza.
Yes, girl.
Okay, so thank you guys so
Thank
much for
you.
hanging out with us. We greatly appreciate it, and
Oh
thank
my
you
gosh,
for taking
of
the time out of
course.
your day to talk to us.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
I hope you enjoy the show.
Thank you.